Is that Nicole behind you?
Oh my god, it's episode 120. And we're starting with Mark saying that because I'm not going to reset the show after restarting it. Either way, I can't wait to get into the show. We cleared off our guests for you guys because we knew that you had a lot of topics to talk about on the show tonight, with Doublelift joining TSM officially, Huni being off of Dignitas, Dodo. I don't know if did you see this, Mark, right
Wait,
before
what's
the show
going on?
started? Can you hear me?
No, I
Hello?
can't. I didn't even know Huni was off dig. When did that get announced?
I mean, I tweeted it today.
Oh,
But maybe you
okay.
didn't see it on Reddit because maybe the mods didn't let it or something.
Yeah, I don't see it on Reddit because you're not a reporter.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, um, yeah, Huni's no longer listed as a player for Dignitas on the contract database. And then did you see Dodo
Oh wait,
tweeted
it
a?
is. I see it is there.
Okay,
What's
is
this
this
Dodo thing? All right, catch
somebody
me up.
else's article? Because I broke it.
No, it's someone who doesn't even mention you at all. It just says you can check here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they
3 hours ago. When did you do yours? Let's see.
3 hours ago. 3 hours ago.
4 hours ago.
Yeah, yeah. They took my the redditor took my thing because Reddit now doesn't let. Anyway, this episode is brought to you by Alienware, and I also wanted to mention we were supposed to have Kelby on the show. Kelby told me 10 days ago that whenever Peter's thing is like, if it ends up being a thing, ends up happening, whatever, he would come on that episode. And then he told me this morning he would join for this episode, and I talked about it on my morning stream. And then Nick Allen and Hunter Lee convinced him not to come on the show because they said that it would not be correct because he's too close to the issue. So that's why we don't have a guest tonight. If you are watching this as a VOD, please go to twitter.com/Nick Allen and Hunter Lee, Leigh, and Kelby May, and tweet at them and let them know that you're disappointed in their decision to ruin tonight's show.
And then when you're done with that, make sure to go tweet at Travis Gafford, #Gafford and
Anyway,
let them know that you're disappointed.
how you been
in
this
not
week,
letting
Mark?
his group-
What
Pretty
have you been
good.
doing?
I've been doing pretty good in Valorant. I've been top fragging a lot of my games. When we play together, I don't know if like my MMR is getting boosted by the people we play with, and I'm like the worst.
Whenever I don't play with our friends, I am top frag. Whenever
Yeah,
I play
so-
with our friends, I am bottom frag.
I will say that Jeff makes me an idiot. Whenever we play with Jeff, I just like we both just troll way too
Yeah,
hard.
we're talking
He's
about
buying
Jeff,
shock-
by the way. Gray
FlyQuest Jeff.
from FlyQuest. He works with them, and Kelby, we got really annoyed with you the other night whenever you were playing with Jeff. Whenever all of us were playing with Jeff.
He got annoyed at me.
Well, because we were up, it was like 10-2,
Oh yeah,
and then we
that
lost because you guys were like, "Let's run in with shotties," and you could he was not happy.
Yeah, and then I spanked his ass the next time we played that in-house.
Yeah. So, anyway, so anything else been going on? Have you done any work whatsoever?
Yes, I've actually been very productive.
What have you been doing?
Well, what do you think?
I don't know. We have 1,500 people watching right now, Mark. They want to know what you've been up to.
I've been very successful at killing time.
Okay. Do you have a light on in front of you that you could turn on?
It is on.
Oh, something's weird with your camera. I don't know what. Maybe it's out of focus. Or
You know what it is? The ISO is set for a daytime thing because that was probably the last thing I probably didn't die.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Twitch chat, how you doing? Because you're our guest tonight. If you haven't been paying attention, everybody. Oh wait, Mark, did you see the Dodo twit longer?
Okay, no. So this was the last bit of information that I've been out of the loop on that you need to give to me.
So Dodo tweeted out my side of the story, and he fucking hard flamed Peter. No, I'm just kidding. He gave a pretty balanced side on stuff, or the most damning part of it is because it's here. I'll link it in Twitch chat.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
And Mark found it. You can skim through it. The most damning thing about it in terms of it is just he's just sort of like, it sounds like Peter, who has admitted to this. So it sounds as though Peter was just a pain in the ass to work with at the beginning of this year, and also during most of the split until he got benched. So now Peter agrees with that, but I think what's weird is that this, or not weird, but what's unique about this is it's the first time where we're really hearing somebody talk about it in full thing. So I don't know. It's difficult for me because it seems like both sides were just pretty unhappy with the way things went down. Like I think Peter feels as though he wasn't given enough of a chance after he fucked up, and Dodo kind of feels like he had a chance but continued to not be great about it. I don't know, but we can talk about the Dodo story. We can talk about other stuff. It'll be great. Yeah. What are you yaying about?
I'm just reading this and like, just the player criticism feedback point about like basically just saying Doublelift's bullshitting completely about not getting feedback. And they're like, what? We had one-on-ones. We talked with him at multiple points throughout the year.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, anywho, is there anything else that has happened in the past week? So the Huni stuff, the Doublelift stuff, obviously dominated the discussion. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean,
MSI is canceled officially.
Oh yeah, I mean we can talk about that. I feel like we kind of talked about it last week because I already knew about it. We talked about it on the show, right? But
yeah, but now it's official, and now people will listen because
we can talk about the schedule change, because what I didn't know was that we would see summer start in like the middle of June. So
is that soon? It doesn't feel soon to me.
No, it's not soon. It was supposed to start in the middle of May.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Before.
So because MSI got moved, they were going to start it in May. Now that MSI is canceled, they're going to run summer split the same way they normally do, which means it starts in the middle of June. Which means that I think for the first time, and I have no idea how many years, maybe since the start of the LCS, I will have an entire month of nothing League of Legends to cover event-wise. Like, if you think about it, Worlds usually ends in November. December has All-Stars. January has the start of the split. Like, there's always a month for me. And so it's very funny because I was just looking at May and I'm like, holy shit, what am I going to do in May? Like, for content. It's a unique situation.
Let's go to Palm Springs.
Well, we can't. Anyway, but I do need to figure out. I have deliverables for Alienware. I need to actually give them something.
You should do. What? Nah, that's a bad idea. Fuck it.
I'm glad that you're
some calls.
Okay. Mark, you want to explain how the show works? Because we haven't done it in a while.
You guys have never seen the show before. The way this one works, it's a live call-in show. So you can actually come on and join us. I'm spamming Twitch chat with the Discord link right now. Go ahead and join up. Once you're there, you're going to see a bunch of voice channels. Go ahead and join Pleb Calls 1 or Pleb Calls 2. And then post your topics of what you want to talk about in the Pleb Topics text channel above it. I'll be scanning that, reading that. If there's anything I see interesting that we want to talk about, I'll pull you from the waiting room, or from, Pleb Calls into the waiting room, where you'll hang out till it's your turn, do a quick mic check. When all that works out, you'll be on air to talk with us about it. And, try and make it more takes. So you think, don't just say, I want to talk about Doublelift going to TSM. Say, I think TSM's fucked. I think this is the right move by TL. I think TSM's going to crush. TL are idiots, whatever it is. Try and put your little spin on it so we can respond to it.
Yep. And if you are a sub, first off, thank you for being a sub. I'm trying to challenge myself to see how many subs I can get this month. I was gonna say we're at 1,420 earlier because that's the funny number, but now we're at 1,423, so I can't do that. But if you are a sub, you can access the subtopics channel on Discord, where you can put your topic. And I know we had a bit of an issue with that earlier where the Twitch integration got disconnected for some reason, but it should be working fine now. So that is how that goes. Either way, Mark's going to start pulling people into the waiting room. While he's doing that, I want to say I'm really enjoying Final Fantasy VII Remake. It lacks some of the depth of the original Final Fantasy VII, but I'm about 20 hours in, and I think it's going pretty well. Actually, this past weekend, Mark never asks me what I do whenever I ask him how he's been and what he's been doing.
Filling silence by talking about yourself, so I just assume it's going to happen.
But I spent, because there was no LCS, it was great because for the first time in forever, I had 2 days where I didn't have to do any work. and I just played video games the entire time. It was so great. I was it was so good to just wake up and play video games. And I did a Twitch bounty where a couple weeks ago where I drank Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel. And I don't normally like energy drinks, and this show is not sponsored by them, but I wish it was. But I'm now addicted to Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel, so Nicole helped me. We went to like 5 different stores the other day trying to find it, which is a risky thing to do in this world that we're in right now. But it's like sold out everywhere. It's rough. Mark, do you have?
Yeah, I'll get the first caller on here so you can stop telling people that you're boring.
Mark
drinks.
got clapped on Twitter. Somebody said, "Oh, it was." I think that's the Lena thing. Ah, very good. Anyway, Twitch chat, how you guys doing? Nicole is dying inside. Anyway, all right. Looks like we got our first guest here, Little Chester 27. Little Chester 27, where are you calling from?
Columbia, Missouri.
Columbia, Missouri. How's things going there?
Not too bad. I think probably about as normal as anywhere else.
Yeah, probably, huh? Well, what do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
So I think that EG is a top laner away from competing with C9 in the summer split, and that Huni could be that top laner. I think that Huni and Jizuke together will either be like the best combo in the league and will absolutely just crush everybody, or they will probably run it down and just get in the bottom half when it's all said and done. And my bonus take is that either way, I think Bang's going to get either driven into retirement or to the asylum.
Okay. Can you explain Asylum?
It seemed like Bang really struggled this year controlling his teammates. He talked about in that interview how hard it was to deal with his teammates sometimes. And I think that Jizuke and Huni together would be even harder to compound that problem.
Well, so you can't. I don't think you can have Bang, Huni, and Jizuke all on the same team. Because that residence requirement.
I was going to ask that. Yeah, what was your plan? I thought you were saying
I think
when you said Bang is going to get forced to the retirement home, I thought you meant like they were going to bench him for Huni, and then I don't know what I thought, but I thought there was a solution to the 3 import problem.
So then the solution would be probably then to pick up somebody like Sneaky to replace Bang. I think that Jizuke and Huni would be more important. I think top lane's more important than AD carry in the current meta going into this summer, and so I think that prioritizing that over bot lane would be the better choice.
Mark, do you think anybody's going to pick up Sneaky?
I
just don't. It's unclear to me that Sneaky is hanging out on the sidelines waiting to come back.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was going to say. Is I'm not sure what the interest level is for the. If he didn't want to play on some, quote unquote shitter teams before, I'd be surprised if he wanted to now.
Are you calling EG a shitter team, Mark? Because I feel like
no. I was going to say that might be one of the
my
teams.
Ethernet cable is going to get pulled.
You would join.
I see what you're saying.
Shitter team.
Okay. Well, either way,
testing the soundproofing on our headset.
Yeah. Either way.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I don't think like many teams, if Sneaky wasn't interested before, unless he's going stir crazy playing solo queue and other random games for his stream, I don't expect him to come back now. And I think EG is potentially one of those teams that might interest him, but I mean he's playing with a lot of people he's already played with them, and I don't know how they all feel about each other. Like I don't know exactly what went down at C9 at the end, so I don't know.
Well, so Lil Chester, do you think that Sneaky and for Bang will make that team able to contest Cloud9 in the summer finals the same way you have in the formula where Bang is there?
I think so. I think that top lane is significantly more important right now, and that teams that can play around top lane have shown to be better. I think you at least need somebody who can compete with Licorice and not be stuck playing some sort of a tank and just trying to not get blown out. And so I think that Sneaky can hold lane pretty well, or someone like Sneaky. And I don't think that there's a better domestic top laner to try to replace Kumo with. And I think that's the bigger priority and the bigger problem for EG going forward.
Well, I don't know, Mark. What do you think?
I like the idea of Huni to Dignitas if it was possible, but I don't like getting rid of Bang for
EG?
it.
Excuse
me, Huni leaving Dignitas to go to EG, yeah. I think an upgrade at the top lane position is the easiest thing to look at for EG if they're trying to get over C9 somehow. And I even like the idea of it being a risky move with Huni a little bit, but it just doesn't work out with imports. And I can't imagine that Sneaky not playing seriously over the last 4 months is going to be an upgrade in the bot lane. And then you're really rolling the dice just to get an upgrade in the top lane, but potentially having a downgrade in the bot lane. Bang was really good this split. So
I also just don't think I want to spend more money in LCS right now. This is kind of like an offside
if you're
topic.
a team owner, right?
Yeah.
This is
I don't think any teams should be looking to increase their salary spends right now, because this year we don't even know if Worlds is going to happen, and if it does, it might be happening in a empty studio somewhere. Like you don't know what's going on with the economy. You don't know where marketing dollars is going to go. So like I feel like this is going to be kind of a quiet off season, or quiet. I hate to call it off season. We need to come up with something, a quiet trade window, because I just don't feel like we're going to see too many people throwing a ton of money at anything.
Yeah.
To that point, just real quick, I just had a question. Huni's contract, you said it's not on the list of contracts under Dig. So does that mean his contract has been vacated, or would the team have to pick up the contract he's already under, which is obviously a pretty significant ask?
I believe that his contract, unless, like, I think that they would not update the global contract database and remove him from it if he was being transferred to a different team, which would mean that he's not on a team right now, which would mean that the contract is dead in the water. So it's no longer a thing.
Yeah, so people would have to sign a new contract with him.
Yeah. Is this our Huni call, Mark, or do we have another one?
This is the one for right now. I'll be honest.
So, I mean, the other thing that I would say is I've seen a lot of speculation about the costs of the Huni thing. The rumors I had heard was that that it was not correct whenever it was a guaranteed 2-year. And so it's more like something where perhaps they have to pay out, I don't know, like 12 months of.
Yeah, I've heard now that it's, or a couple, I don't know where, but that it's like part of it was guaranteed, kind of like a signing bonus. I don't know what the payout structure of it was, so it might not be exactly like a signing bonus, which is like, here you go, you get an extra $300,000.
The soft rumor I had heard was that they would have to pay out 1 year of his contract if they decided to drop him. And so in a sense, like, his agent or somebody might have positioned this as like, it's a guaranteed contract, because of course they're not going to drop him after the first split. So even if they did drop him after a year, he would still get paid for that second year, so it's guaranteed, right? Well, lo and behold. So my guess, here's actually my favorite thing about the Huni thing. If this rumor, the soft rumor, I always try to emphasize these are soft rumors, because it's not like I'm reporting on.
Hard.
If this soft rumor is, Mark, if the soft rumor is true, I think what's very funny is Huni might have gotten paid $1.5 million, right? Because it would be, he'd get paid for this first half of the year, then another 12 months, which would be presumably 1.5 mil of his 2 mil contract to play for 3 months. I don't even think he was here at the very beginning of it, right? So I think he might have made $500,000 a month for 3 months, which might be the most efficient, like the most a player has ever made in a single window in League of Legends in history, would be my guess.
I would wonder, yeah, it's close. If that's true, there's got to be some disgusting Chinese contracts that have been signed during like the Korean Exodus, when, you know, they were just like buying up everyone. There must have been a big bidding war for like the Samsung White guys and stuff after they just won Worlds. And I don't know what those numbers got to, but I saw Imp, you know, going around with like a fucking Gucci dog bag or whatever that was, if you remember.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah.
But it's up there, at least, especially in the West.
Back to our conversation, Lil Chester. Do you think that there are any, like, let's say it's not Huni, do you see any other options for AG to contest C9 in the finals if they get a good top laner?
I mean, I think they have to have a top laner who can at least keep Lickers from running away with the game. And I don't know, obviously I'm not privy to the conversations and the rumors, but I don't know what other top laners would be available, especially domestic ones who could fit that role.
Viper, theoretically, right?
Yeah, you could maybe make a move for Viper. You know, there's like, who I see in the top lane from Academy who I thought was okay. Who was it? Fill for me, Travis.
To the Viper point, do you think Viper's an upgrade over Kumo enough? Because to me, it seems like that's more of a lateral move than an upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a huge upgrade. Maybe not even at all, but I think
Is
it's
it
worth
Fudge?
looking into. Maybe it was Fudge.
Which chat seems to think it's Fudge.
Maybe it was Fudge.
Anywho,
Show rosters.
everyone's just spamming Fudge. I think people who
Yeah.
have never heard of Fudge before are now spamming Fudge in chat.
Yeah, no, it was probably Fudge. You can also maybe look at Fake God. I don't know. There's some other like, I mean, Kumo is a young, relatively inexperienced top laner, at least in terms of LCS playtime, who is likely to improve. These guys are mostly in the same shoes as well. Fudge has more experience because he's from Australia and competed at Worlds and stuff. So if you want to go a little bit more win now, maybe that's an option. And I think he's an import, but it's a minor region. Is that rule? Is it like the minor region rule in effect yet or not yet? What is that rule? Did they make a new minor region rule, or was that only for Academy? I don't know.
No, it's Oceania. We do have a special rule with Oceania, but I'm now forgetting what I think it is only for Academy.
Okay.
And Twitch seems to agree.
Yeah, it's only Academy.
It's funny.
Well,
It was
never mind.
like
Then Fudge isn't an option.
Yeah. All right.
I agree with the point. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead and finish.
I was gonna say I think that Kumo does have potential, but I think if you look at the rest of that roster for EG, they're not a team that's building for the future. It seems like they're a team that's trying to win sooner rather than later. I mean, they dumped a lot of money in to get those C9 players. They have a really talented team that did well and even did well in the playoffs, but I think that they have a liability in the top lane if they're going to try to compete with a team like Cloud9, because I don't think you can have such a glaring problem to have to draft around and play around.
I mean,
to
no one's going to disagree with you here. But
Mark, do you think that solves their problem though?
Well, what's the like? Are they going to beat C9 if they somehow get Huni?
I mean, he says he wants them to contest in the finals.
Yeah, but none of the proposed solutions work unless you're saying the sneaky one. And
Yeah, let's say Viper.
My thoughts on that. Oh, Viper? No, that won't get you into the final. That won't be.
Yeah, I guess my point is, I just don't think that. I don't even know if a Huni one could. Like, I just don't think that top lane is their only problem. So
at least it's like a different look. Which is why I'm a little bit more interested in that. But otherwise, like, yeah, not really. I mean, no one disagrees with that. They can't win a finals with if top lane's going to get smashed by Licorice on both sides of a matchup. But you have to look at the options available. They're not there right now.
What about Demonte to mid?
What?
I mean, I'm not going to go through every EG possible roster swap in history right now. Yeah, there's a lot of moves that they could theoretically do if you ignored contracts and all this stuff. I don't know.
Okay. Well, okay. Final question for you on this, Mark. Before we move on to the next caller, but this has got me thinking right now. If you're a team owner, do you even? I know that a bunch of people are gonna be like, "Wow, this is a competition, Travis." But do you even try to beat C9 this year? Like, do you make aggressive moves to try to beat them? They are so far ahead of everybody else. And it feels like you have a very limited ability to move in this window.
Yeah.
So do you even like? Is your goal even? We want to beat C9, or is it secure second?
I think kind of depends. How far off are you right now? Like Team Liquid, I would maybe be like, you sure there's no one you want to ball out to try and like? Would you want to look at Sneaky maybe? I mean, Tactical has a really good solo queue record, but it doesn't have any proven performance. Like some of those I'd consider, but you also have to think about Worlds. You want to be good for Worlds. And you also have to think about your current contract length. If your contracts are up at the end of the year and you're not currently well positioned to make a big Worlds push, assuming you have to get over C9, TL, TSM, and EG or FlyQuest and stuff like that, then like, yeah, try and make a splashy move. Why not?
Yeah.
Contracts are up anyways after the next split.
All right. Thanks so much for the call. Anything you want to say on the way out, Little Chester?
I was going to ask, since I'm the only Huni call, if there's a better place you think he'll land based on the import issue that we already talked about. But other than that, I don't have anything. Thanks for having me.
We'll see if you're the only Huni call. That's not a definitive. I'm still reading chat. So if anyone has a good Huni take, I'm still reading.
Thanks, Little Chester. Have a good one.
You too. Thanks.
All right. We got I need to turn on streamer mode so you guys don't hear those noises. 1 second. How do I change that setting in Discord? Isn't it great when you guys can just hear me actively go through streamer mode? Okay, now we won't hear those noises. I apologize, Twitch chat. By the way, some shout outs to some folks. Oh, never mind. Mian Bao is here. Mian Bao, where are you calling from?
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
How are things going in Minneapolis?
They're pretty alright. There was a bunch of people at the park today. I took a 2-hour walk because I was bored and trying to delay finals.
You were in the park, you're saying?
I took a long walk in the park just because I didn't want to do my university finals. And there were a
Gotcha.
bunch of people, but all 6 feet apart.
Hopefully you socially distanced, yeah. Either way, what do you want to talk about on the show?
So I think it's time that TSM signs a blank check to sign Nick Smithy. For a couple of reasons. One, I think that unfortunately Dardoch is past his prime, and I don't think we'll ever see like peak Dardoch, like we saw back in the day. Also, TSM's got a lot of star power in each of their lanes right now, and they have the upside of being able to carry through all 3 of their lanes. They need a jungler that can really play around that, and I think the jungler in North America, especially, that has just proven time and time again that he's the best at that is Smithy. Yeah, I think it's just time TSM Smithy happens.
Mark, before we dive into the Smithy stuff, I feel like among all the back and forth on the Doublelift stuff, people haven't spent too much time talking about the jungle situation over there.
Yeah.
You know, Jack, I think a little bit over a week ago was like, well, I see Bjergsen doing with Spica a lot. So what's your take on their jungle situation?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I wonder what they're going to do about it, because Dardoch was really good in early games, and sometimes fine or even great in late games, depending on the situation. But he also had some really, 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 really bad late games and team fights and stuff like that. And he definitely felt like the weakest link on the team. And so while the Doublelift upgrade is cool, it does leave you a little bit unsure about the entire rest of the team. So the TSM exploring options with that makes sense. I would if I'm a TSM fan and we just signed Doublelift and we're going to go swing for the fences to go try and like one of these teams we're talking about contest C9 and make a insane worlds push. Like, I don't know what I heard. Smithy's contract with Immortals was big, but if teams are not making playoffs with fat contracts, shouldn't they be happy to unload them to TSM in a like we're talking about, like a bit of a crisis financially?
Yeah, no, exactly. And so that's, I think, now moving into the Smithy stuff, I think it's really interesting because if you are, I mean, it's kind of the convergence of these two topics, right? I asked you if you don't think that you can contest C9 because they're so far away from everybody else, and you also don't think that and you're also like dealing with all this coronavirus stuff and the economic impact. Do you offload these players? And is that a reason to trade Smithy because maybe you can get a fat check from TSM in the process? Possibly.
Yeah, I would look into it because I especially agree with the caller's point about if you do sign. I mean, they did sign Peter, so they have kind of carry lanes on opposite sides of the map. I don't think you would, if we start thinking about like how TSM is going to play. Haunter wasn't really weak side back in 2017, 2016 TSM. He was, in the sense that I don't think that they played around him, and his jungle proximity was kind of lower than the other people on the team, if I remember. But he still played like Gnar and hella push super aggro and stuff like that. And he more or less still played like he was going to get a jungler, and he died a lot in lane for it, but he also built really big CS leads and stuff like that. And he was a really good laner, and so he got a lot of advantages on his own. The question is, with Broken Blade so far, there seems to be like he's the main focus on the team a lot of the time and playing with jungler. And so can he kind of be like Haunter, and if the resources start going more towards Doublelift, he can still play aggressive. Even if you get Dardoch down in the bot lane more often? Is that a better look than getting him top? There's all these questions that start springing up, and I don't think this is a roster that naturally makes sense in my head about what they're going to want to do game in and game out. The way like some rosters are.
I think Smithy makes a lot of sense for TSM. If I were them, I'd be going
right.
for
Sorry,
him.
that's where I was going to go. Is I think Smithy makes those kind of questions easier to deal with.
Well, and we know that Doublelift did not want TL to trade Smithy, so very clearly he's happy to play with them, and he just joined this team. Of course, the first thing he's going to be saying. Oh, and by the way, can you imagine? I haven't even really thought about Dardoch and Doublelift as these two big personalities. Could you imagine? TSM are too big of cowards to put out like an unfiltered show with these two people, and maybe it'd be hard to film because of the coronavirus stuff. But like, they should just keep both those players for entertainment value. But
I mean, just get them on a podcast together. It'd be fucking great.
Yeah. But I think Smithy makes a lot of sense. I think Immortals is potentially looking to save money. They know they're not going to compete this year. They send him to TSM, and there you go.
Someone in chat actually pointed out that Smithy and Doublelift literally have never lost a split together. Or they've done basically every split they've played together for the last number of years. So like their synergy is inherent. And like you said, Peter definitely seems like he really enjoys playing with Smithy. I think it makes sense on like all avenues.
I wonder, yeah. I mean, I would think Immortals would be okay moving his contract just with the current thing. So it does. I wonder if TSM could make that happen.
Well, and Smithy said in the interview to me after they lost that he was really unhappy with all these losses and like he didn't know if he could do it much longer. So what if you're Smithy and you say, "What's that?"
So shit, I missed that.
So what if you're Smithy and you go to Immortals and you say, "Hey, I'm just gonna retire if you guys don't send me to a different team."
Yeah, I mean, we hadn't really talked about this from Smithy's angle. I would think he would be excited to join TSM from a competitiveness standpoint, from a brand standpoint. The only thing I don't think lines up well would be probably team environment a little bit. TSM is always
because he's chill.
Yeah, Smithy's really chill.
Not.
TSM has always been a little bit of like the try hard evil empire vibe, and that has gone back and forth on how true that is, depending on the split and how try hard everyone's being. But in general, TSM is very businesslike. But that was also true for TL, and Smithy did fine there for the most part. So,
Mark, Twitch chat, can anybody hear me?
I don't hear Mark. Is he gone?
You can hear me, right, caller?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Right now.
Oh, welcome back, Mark.
I got F's in chat too. Were the F's just for me?
It was just you.
I could hear you the whole time. I don't know what happened to me.
That's weird. All right. Anyway, sorry. Finish your thought.
I don't know where it dropped out, but I was just saying that it's not the most natural culture fit, but Smithy did fine on TL, which was also pretty businesslike from my understanding. So he'd probably be okay. He would survive on TSM.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. We'll have to see what happens. All right. Caller, it seems like we agree with you. That was easy.
Ooh, got there.
Good take.
Anything you want to say before we move on to our next caller?
I want to remind the chat to drink water. It's important.
Have a good one.
Paula, if you hydrate.
All right. Mark is off to grab our next caller. I think we'll do one more before our break. And let's see. Some shout outs to some folks. Poro on Mars, 20 months. Tank, thank you for the sub. A fucking stupid name, thank you for the 8 months. Ari Waddle, 24, whole 2 years. Bizarro Gaming. Eldor, Boosted Death. So many things for 26. I am Elvis, 25. Wigan, 028. And Rico Suave is here. Rico Suave, where are you calling from?
New York City.
Welcome to the show. Did you just hit 2 years of sub, right, today?
Yes, I did.
Congratulations. Thank you for being a sub for 2 years. That's awesome. I wish
Thanks.
I wish there were more people like you in my Twitch chat. Anyway, what do you want to talk about on the show?
What I want to talk about is how TSM won't improve this split, and it will have a lot to do with Eagles clashing with each other. Big points I want to make. One of them you guys already briefly spoke about. That is the Eagles between Darduck and Doublelift. I kind of want to assume that TSM is going to give Darduck a second chance during the beginning of the split, and if it doesn't improve, we'll probably replace him with Spica. And I think it might have something to do with maybe Doublelift's comments or suggestions. Earlier this week, this guy Doublelift put out a vlog about how he liked having Jake around. You know, he likes a jungler that, as you could say, is a little micromanaging instead of being very risk taking like Darduck. And I can see Darduck, you know, clashing with him about ideology of how to play the jungle. The other person I wanted to speak about is Broken Blade. As you guys have already seen, Broken Blade has been like the main carry force of TSM, while Bjorkson kind of takes more of a back chill kind of role. And, you know, another player coming in, taking all the resources and pretty much getting the final word. I could see a little goals getting a little upset that this guy just comes in and just takes over the team. And the last one I want to make is Doublelift will get the final say because of his veteran privilege ego and the whole, you know, him dating the boss thing. I don't see that many people kind of stepping toes on him. And if he doesn't give out the results, then maybe people will say a thing or two, and Wolf won't take it lightly because it'll just, I guess, bring him back to the days of TL with, you know, all the coaches like Doe and players, you know, against him behind his back.
So sorry. So your take is sorry. It sounded like you were saying TSM won't improve.
No.
And that's because you think that of internal clashes that are going to occur.
Yes.
Okay, what happens if they do get a replacement for Darduck, though? Does that just change everything for you?
No, I still see if Spica doesn't, I guess, either do what Doublelift wants him to do, or doesn't.
What if they get like
reach his
Xmithy, though,
expectation.
which is what our last call was just a second ago?
If they get Xmithy, then I feel like it'd just be Broken Blade kind of being on his own. He'd have to listen to what he says.
Yeah, I mean it's possible they get Smithy, but Travis, what do you think the percent chance that actually happens is if you had to throw a number out? 5%.
Honestly, 40%, maybe 50%.
What? You think it's almost a 50-50?
I actually think so, because the more I think about it, the more, like, Immortals is already a budget roster to begin with. Now, like, their shit is like a disaster over there. Xmithy's unhappy. There's coronavirus. Clearly, TSM is willing to pay people to pick up players right now because they just picked up Doublelift. Okay, maybe I would say 40 to 50% chance that they get another good jungler that is not just like somebody from Academy or somebody that's been 40 to 50% chance that they end up getting something very significant in that spot. I actually think I think that there will probably be options among the bottom teams that like people will give up to TSM foolishly.
Let's make a bet on it.
I haven't even paid out your last one.
Yeah, I know. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
What's
for
the
another
bet?
one.
What? Sorry. We need to define this better. What would you're taking the stance that TSM won't get a.
They won't get a jungler, and the odds are slightly in my favor.
So they stick with Dardoch, or do you think they go with?
You were saying they get a good jungler from another team. I'm saying there's going to be no trades.
Okay. So then is Spica their academy?
Spica or an academy move. I guess technically an academy move counts, but you were saying like a bottom team's giving up someone like Roxa, or I don't know who you else had in mind other than Smithy. But I
think it's really funny now that we're saying, but TL, a bottom team like Team Liquid, we'll give up Roxa. That's the world we live in now.
Wiggly. I don't know who else counts in your Travis.
Okay, who closer is somebody that somebody really want?
They can't get him.
Port.
Oh, wait, they can.
Actually, no,
They're
they can.
trading
They can.
Kelby. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm stupid. Okay.
How dare you challenge me? All right. So that's an option. Sven Skaren, I don't think he's going to leave EG. I'm looking at Twitch chat right now. They're just telling me right now.
Meteos is probably not moving from 100 Thieves.
No. Okay. It's probably, so it's got to be either Xmithy or closer.
Yeah. I would take that bet. Let's say,
Well,
I'll even give you better odds,
I need,
2 to
yeah,
1.
you need to give me better odds because
I'll give you
I
2-1 odds that neither of those players go to TSM, and they're either with Dardoch
can
or someone from like
can
academy
we
level.
bet Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel, Cherry
Sure.
Blast, Cherry Charge Blast, I believe is the name of it.
I'm gonna buy you the wrong flavor to piss you off, but yeah.
Then that would be in violation of the rule set. Anyway.
Back to the caller's point. I see attitudes overall being a quote unquote problem on the team. And it's not even necessarily like toxicity as much it is like being able to play the game well together and function well as a team. Bio and Doublelift obviously get along great. If they do pick up Smithy, that's a huge plus that I think would help go a long way. But otherwise, yeah, I kind of agree that I would expect there to be issues with both top and bot wanting the jungler's attention and growing pains where both of them are learning to not ask for the jungler so much, the jungler having to tell him to both fuck off, he needs to go farm something for a second, these are general jungle pains and that teams have all the time. And when you have 2 lanes who are used to getting the attention suddenly together, it becomes very difficult to play. So to the point about the egos, it's not even necessarily like, it has to be so negative and toxic as a thought. Just like, no, this is how I've always played the game. This
on
is how I
stuff.
want to
Yeah.
play. Yeah, exactly.
Right. TSM finished 4th, right? In playoffs? Or
Yeah, no, 5th. They lost to FlyQuest. Wait, no, 4th.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 4th, because it was
4th.
EG FlyQuest ahead of them.
Golden Guardians, yeah.
Okay. So this is where it's difficult, is like part of me wants to say, well, it should be easy for them to sneak into the top 3 with Doublelift because all they need to do is be slightly better than they were right now. On the other end, there's not too much competition in the LCS this split. And perhaps other teams are going to weaken themselves by like shedding players. On the other hand, I could totally see them getting 4th again.
Yeah.
Right? like
yeah.
Like this is the problem. Jat will come out on like his goddamn Jat's Extravaganza podcast, and he'll be like, "Here's all my amazing Doublelift had this at this CS at this 15, and they blah 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 blah. This is why they're going to be great, or this is why they're going to be bad." I feel the energy in LCS, and I'm kind of like a spirit guide. Anyway, I just see these patterns, right? It's always like you plan on building these super teams, or you make this big play, and it never goes the way that it's supposed to go. Like I don't usually feel like it does. I mean, TL I guess had their really big thing, but that was supposed to be like a TSM like the TL thing happened because TSM was making a super play, and then
TSM already had a super play, like when
but they were trying to make the bigger play, bringing in the best in the West, right? Like it was supposed to be this big hype thing. They were going to be the best or whatever. And then it flopped. I always feel like these big moves just never pan out the way that people think they're going to. And so I feel like this TSM thing, I feel like they're going to get 4th or lower. That's my guess.
They'll probably get 9th again because that's where Doublelift finished last time.
I don't think they're going to get 9th, but that would be wild if for some reason they dropped 5 spots and ended up in 9th place.
Like, I would really love to see that, just to see all the salty TSM fans.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think Kabe was very good this split. Or I shouldn't say wasn't very good. I don't think he was as good as he was in Europe. But I think he still had a better split than Doublelift. So, like, maybe they actually just do get worse if Doublelift doesn't get better. I think Doublelift will get better, but,
I mean, I think Doublelift will get better because, I mean, Dodo's twit longer. Literally, like Peter and Dodo both tell the same story, which is like Peter was not trying hard during this split, and so you got to imagine that like the match before, like when they face TL, which I wonder if they'll make that the opening game of the split.
No, it's always the
The previous one. I know, but maybe they won't. It'll probably be opening weekend though. And when they face TL, you got to imagine that Peter's going to try to do he's going to summon.
Would you have asked for them to do that if Nicole wasn't sitting right behind you?
What? Asked for them to do what?
Ask them to change the format of having the finals replayed again as the opening game.
Why would I worry about that?
Because it's like a big boon to the team. It's one of the perks of being in finals is you get to, play the opening match. It's hype.
Mark, who was in finals?
Oh yeah. Ha ha ha. Dude, I'm all over the place tonight. Let's move on to the next caller.
Okay, Rico.
Fuck.
What do you got anything for us on the way out?
3 shout outs. Well, 1. To Colby whatever his name is. Screw you for not coming on.
Kelby.
2,
Yeah,
shout
screw
out
Kelby.
to Alienware, and shout out to my Clash team. Where's my team?
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
My hat was too tight.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, now you've got that crazy hair. All right, we're going to take a quick break. People are spamming dumbs in the chat right now, which I think is great. All right, we're going to take a quick break to tell you guys about Alienware. Alienware.com/Travis, Travis 10 off. Go check it out. I've got them up on the screen right now. We've got a dedicated page over there at Alienware.com/Travis. And if you guys go check them out, it's actually very helpful to me. You can see now the code is on the website if you scroll down. So if you ever forget the code, you can always find it right there. But they sponsor Hotline League. They sponsor so much of what I'm doing right now. And I need them to love me because normally there would be a major international event happening in May, and I can't offer them any coverage of that anymore. So there we go. Also, if you go to, that's Alienware.com/Travis. If you go to AlienwareArena.com/Travis, you can get, and there's still some that they're giving away, a Hex Tech chest for League of Legends if it's the first time that you've signed up for this. And I think that's pretty cool. So go get a Hex Tech chest. They're giving away them to new people in the US, maybe North America, but definitely in the US. So go check them out. Thanks so much to Alienware. And by the way, please sign up for that if you. It's a favor to me. All right, think of it as a favor to me because it is. Thanks so much. Danny Graham just put a link in the chat to go sign up for them. Really appreciate it. All right, Mark, you want to grab our next caller?
Yeah. None of the callers have a good take on the Dodo thing, so I would also wouldn't mind just talking about that.
Okay, maybe we do that later.
Yeah.
Thank you to Boosted Death. So many things. I'm Elvis4 for 25 months. Wiggin028. Dr. Manhattan, thank you for the 30 months. 30 months, holy moly. Insulin shots. Scam likely unofficial. Slap a debase. G-Money95. Sucking dick for Coke. Gifted a sub to Faithzilla. 1997, thank you for the 10 months. Warden is here. Warden, where are you calling from?
Downey, California.
Downey, hey, I went to Long Beach State, so that's right around the corner. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
I want to talk about IMT copy.
IMT Kabe. Okay, I'm surprised that I'm already bored, but continue. Explain.
Why are you bored? Why are you hating on IMT? You guys have been hating on IMT this whole night.
Because my take was IMT would be the new FlyQuest, and I feel like they are slowly becoming it.
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, but, you don't even have a rebuttal for that. Anyway, sorry, continue.
So I was looking at the Jat tweet earlier today, and he was saying a smart GM would pick up Kabi fast because, talent suppression machine. Kabi obviously underperformed this split compared to an EU, and I
Did
think
Jet
he would
say
be...
talent suppression machine?
No, but he said he's going to crush it next split.
Okay.
So I think there's two ways this happens. One requires IMT to have a lot of money, which they don't. So probably not going to happen. And that way is just for them to straight up buy out Kabe. And then the best part of this trade is it forces them to have an NA mid, and you can get Tanner time.
Wait, you said Jet tweeted this? Or no, Jack.
Jack.
Okay, because I went to Jet's tweet and I didn't see it. Okay.
I think it was like 7 hours ago.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, right. Okay, sorry. Finish and repeat that last part one more time. Sorry, I was looking at Twitter.
So the first idea I had was them just straight up Immortals getting Kabe, buying him out. And then the best part of that is it forced them to have an NA mid, and you can get Demonte back in LCS where he deserves to be.
So you like to pick up Kabe just because it forces Ica out?
Pretty much.
That's an interesting way of handling your take.
Bait and switch on
what
exactly we're talking about in this.
Well, I have a more interesting one that I don't necessarily know if it's more likely, but I feel like the money makes more sense in this move, and that is a big 3-team trade. You send Soaz and Xmithy to TSM. Immortals gets Broken Blade, Dardoch, and Kabe, and then TSM sends Treats to Dig, and then Immortals gets Demonte back.
I need a graph or a chart.
This isn't going to happen, so I'm not going to entertain this part of the call.
Okay.
Back to Immortals.
Yeah. So you want to do pros and cons for Immortals getting Kabe?
Sure, hit me with them. Why not?
So I think the main thing that they can do is kind of copy Splice's playstyle. I also think that Soaz and Kabe would really work well together because the EU connection. So you just pretty much be similar to Splice and kind of how Immortals was early in their split, where you kind of just stall out the game and win through macro and fundamentals and late game team fighting. And I think another thing is a lot of the teams in NA didn't have talent problems. They had more like fundamental or coaching problems where they just didn't work well together, even if they had talent like TSM or Team Liquid. So I think Immortals was one of the only teams that didn't have a talent problem, but they had a talent problem, not a fundamentals problem. So I think getting Kabe solves the talent problem.
What do you think? So what are you doing mid again if you're not doing a 3-team trade because I'm not allowing it?
You can either buy out Demonte or they have Insanity on Academy. But I think realistically, you'd maybe want to get someone cheaper than Demonte potentially, and then have like him and Insanity split time.
Is Demonte expensive? The only cost of Demonte might be his buyout. I doubt he's very expensive.
I mean, Dig just had a 1.5 million buyout for Vulcan, so.
I would also.
Yeah, they spent on Huni.
I like Demonte as much as the next person, but you're talking about this. Can you guys hear something in the background, by the way?
No.
Okay. We're talking about this like late game scaling team. I don't really like Demonte for a team like that, and I'd almost be like, "Yo, give Palafox a shot." I bet Jack will sell him for $1. Jack will sell anything for $1.
Yeah, but not normally for $1. Normally it's for like a bajillion bucks.
That's true.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I'd be curious to see Palafox 1 get a shot because he was very impressive, and 2, he has a history with the org, and 3. I think he's a little bit better on some of the control mages and stuff that you would probably be wanting to play with this lineup. I mean, you don't want to be a complete late game scaling team, but Demonte is more known for like melee champs and things like that. So I'm not sure if that would work quite as well. It's just another idea for a potential swap. I do like the idea of Kabe joining Immortals for a lot of the reasons that you listed. I'm just not sure Immortals is the org that ever makes a splashy move. So that's honestly.
Where does Kabe go if not Immortals?
CLG or Misfits?
CLG just re-signed Stixay to like a pretty long contract, I think. So I feel like they're really big on Stixay.
Someone was also saying something about FlyQuest, but I don't think that makes any sense.
I don't think getting rid of Ignar makes sense at all.
I don't know why you'd ever want to get rid of Ignar or PoE. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
Doesn't seem like Kabe's in the best spot right now.
I mean, that's the trouble of being an import. Who
I feel so bad for Kabe.
Yeah,
I feel so bad. Like,
yeah, that's pretty poop.
You gotta imagine, like, you could have never anticipated this thing if you were Kabe. You gotta imagine, like, okay, we finished 4th. So and I didn't play great, but I didn't play terrible, and the team had multiple issues, and so we got them in summer, guys, right? Right? And then it's just like, oh, a Doublelift is up for trade, so thanks for the 3 months.
Oh yeah, I forgot to add. I think with it, like with Kabe and an NA mid, doesn't really matter who, as long as they can perform like decent on control mages. I think they could be a top 3 team over TSM or TL, because I think the bar is really low in NA right now, and I don't think necessarily teams are going to improve because you can't really boot camp anywhere right now. And I feel like coronavirus is going to have a lot of teams unmotivated, and like a lot of teams got smashed by C9, and they're going to feel like they can't close the gap. So I feel like it's going to be a pretty similar story in summer, unless TSM or TL bounce back. And I think one of the teams will bounce back, but the other won't. And that kind of leaves an open spot. And I feel like the bar for Worlds right now is just being as good as FlyQuest was, which I feel like is kind of
Right,
underwhelming.
we're all over the place. We were talking about Xmithy Kabe to Immortals. Now we're talking about who's going to Worlds. I don't know.
Well, that's what my point was. I think if you get a Kabe on Immortals, they have a pretty good shot at getting Worlds.
Do they?
I mean, you have great veteran talent like Soaz, Xmithy. They made Worlds.
Yeah, where did that get them in spring?
I feel like in spring they didn't have enough talent with like Ica and Apollo. Like they're really good role players, but not necessarily like winning the map or winning like game team fights.
We lost Mark again for some reason. I don't know what's going on with him, but
so I feel like you can make Kabe like the win condition.
I guess I just don't like. It's hard for me to see. Like Kabe doesn't seem to me to be the player that walks in and just like boosts that team up to crazy heights. And I know that you want to make like a mid change, but there's also not like a star mid laner that's ready. So I don't know. I think it's rough. I wish Mark was here, because right now he'd be saying, oh, maybe he can hear me, because last time he did this he could hear me. We can't hear him. So I don't know. Oh, we lost him on Skype. Mark? Nope. Okay. Well, Warden, we got to kill some time because Mark's here and I can't go on to the next caller unless he's back. So let's
talk about Valorant.
No. I mean, I do, but I can't because people on Twitch chat get upset. Although I do like Valorant a lot. Okay, Mark now has dropped from Discord. Let's see if he comes back. He also, by the way, I believe has Spectrum. So this is a Spectrum night. We're dealing with this. All right, Warden, what other things would you like to see happen in the LCS?
An idea I had was for TSM to pick up Prolly. I think this is kind of a weird take, but there's not really much coaches out there, and I think the main reason I wanted them to get Prolly was to play towards late game, and like in 100 Thieves, when he had like that kind of like where they would play annoying or whatever and kind of delay the game to late. I don't know if Doublelift would really want to play that style, but I feel like when they still had Kabe, that was like an ideal where they would want to delay the game late for Kabe, but TSM didn't really they wanted to play around Kabe to begin with.
I don't see that happening ever. Probably had a hard enough time managing big personalities on 100 Thieves, and now his TSM has like the biggest personalities, especially if they keep Dardoch. So I can't imagine that happening. Mark, hi. Can we hear you? Mark?
Nothing happened.
Oh, good. You're here. Okay. Fantastic. All right, Mark. Any final thoughts on Kabe? Oh, if Kabe joins Immortals, is that a team that can make it to Worlds? Mark. Oh, we had him on Discord for just a second, and then I tried to Skype call him. Okay. Hi. I hear you on Skype, but not on Discord. Why can't I hear you on Discord? Let's drop the Skype call and see if we can just disconnect and reconnect to Discord. Let's fuck Skype for now. Thanks everyone for hanging in there. Mark?
Fuck. Why is my
Okay.
Discord being stupid?
I don't know. Let's just leave. No, let's just leave. I don't want to fuck with Skype right now because
I can't hear
seems to be
you.
breaking
Sorry.
seems to be breaking your Discord. Can you not hear me?
What?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. I tried calling you on Skype and Skype.
Yeah, well, let's not do Skype. We're gonna just do a picture of you for the rest of the show.
The Skype isn't the problem.
I think the Skype is a problem.
I'm pretty sure it was that I tripped a circuit breaker, but okay.
Okay. Let's call back.
I'm like,
see if it works.
Let me call you because this is.
If it breaks, okay. If it breaks Discord again,
it's on my phone.
okay, call me. This is fun.
Konnichiwa.
Hello, can you mute Skype?
Yeah.
Okay. Mark, if Kabe leaves, or if Kabe joins Immortals, do they make it to
No.
Worlds?
No.
Thank you. I've been waiting 5 minutes to hear you say that.
This call's so bad, my electricity blew up.
I'm sorry, Warden. He doesn't mean it. He's just upset. What? Why won't they make it? It's not enough.
It's not enough. Because even like with the veteran presence that you're talking about, like what is Ignar and PoE not a veteran presence? Like they haven't gone to Worlds themselves and almost beat SKT. I just can't buy that. So
Okay, and then while you were gone, he also had the suggestion that probably should coach TSM.
I would definitely, if I was someone, give it a call to Probably. Like, if you think that you need a new coach, is there anyone better available in the off season other than myself?
I mean, you say that, but I also just feel like Probably didn't do a good. Well, I shouldn't say didn't do a good job, but clearly he didn't mesh well with big personalities at 100 Thieves, so I don't see him meshing well with big personalities at TSM.
Yeah. I'll take this time to. I know I saw a couple people in the Discord talking about LS to TSM. And then
Never.
I asked if there was any. Well, I asked if there was any rumors like for why people were saying that, and the answer was not really.
They just want LS to go to all the CLG subreddit has decided LS can just go to CLG and coach them. Like it's basically.
Why would he do that?
It's just I don't know why either. It's LS fans just want him to coach, and so they just make this shit up. I don't know. It's like he was on a call with Peter. Where Peter,
that's basically what I saw too. Was like
and Peter seemed to like if you look at the Reddit transcription of that call, it's like Peter loses interest and gets annoyed at how much LS is talking and then zones out. So it's not a very good sign.
I didn't watch any of the streams, so I don't know.
It's not a very good sign for like the idea of him coaching TSM. I would say it's already not working well. So
yeah, and I mean, I don't know if LS would be a good coach for TSM or not. Regardless, I mean, first off, he's fucking killing it as a content creator and figure in the scene. So like, you better make it worth his time. And I guess TSM as a brand might be worth his time, but he would have to like uproot his whole life in Korea, which is a pretty big ask. And
he says he doesn't even like. I think he said that he prefers Korean culture to like American culture. So
yeah, and I know. Like in general, travel has always like made him sick and stuff like that. Like I know he's had trouble before. So like I don't know. It sounds like there's a billion hurdles and like reasons why not, and one reason why, and that's that people think it would be hype. That's the only reason. Yeah.
Anyway, Warden, thanks so much for holding down while we got Mark back. Anything you want to say?
Just want to give a shout out to my boy Tom Shu for defending all the rising any talent when no one else wants to.
You're a Tom Shu person, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. All right. We got 3 more calls to go, and I got a beer delivered to me by a beer delivery service that delivers directly to my desk. The Golden Road Mango Cart. How convenient. Sorry about all the tech issues we're having tonight, guys. A lot of this is unlucky, I think. That's how it goes sometimes. Pooch Chris, thank you for the 2 months. Shielded Avenger, thank you for the third 2 months. Cypher LOL, thank you for the sub. Danny Grimm, thanks for the 11 months. Cannon Fodder 79. Easy Stay Safe. Avura for 18. And I think that's all the subs for now. A Hobbit is here. A Hobbit, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, Maryland. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So my take is that I'm going to say this as a huge Cloud9 fan. I think that MSI being canceled is actually good for NA and for C9 in general. And I think the reason why is that the original plans with like MSI being in the middle of summer split doesn't really help C9 strengths, because they'd spend time playing against all the NA teams, and then have to go and transition into playing like IG and G2 and whichever Korean team would be the representative.
So this is a specific point about the mid-summer split MSI variant, not if it was just like in a couple weeks, right?
Oh no, I think the same holds true either way. But the original plans that they canceled, which MSI being in the middle of summer split, is what I was talking about. But it also holds true.
You wouldn't want them.
You wouldn't want C9 to go to MSI if it was just a normal year.
No, I wouldn't.
Why?
Because I think one of C9's strengths that people really overlook is the coaching staff. And I think the longer run-up time to Worlds gives them more time to like gel as a team and improve as a team.
But couldn't they gel as a team and improve as a team while they're fighting at MSI
and it's
to
not
get
like
better?
these are mutually exclusive. You can go to MSI and then still go to Worlds.
But I don't think they would perform well at MSI is the thing.
And then what?
But that's like the whole fucking point of
and then they're demoralized going into Worlds is the thing.
Okay, hang on. Sorry. I'm trying not to be too aggressive. I'm just trying to understand.
Oh, I'm up yet.
I know. That's why I'm trying not to be too aggressive, because I know
you be the reasonable person. I'll be
I'm good copyright. Okay, so
I gotta put my hat on.
That's a different show, Mark. All right, so MSI would be taking place in about 2 weeks if it weren't for this pandemic.
Right.
So C9 goes. Do they not make it out of groups?
No, they make it out of groups as 4th seed.
Okay, so then they end up in semifinals and they lose.
Yes.
And that somehow hurts their confidence?
And that hurts them all the way till Worlds and at the end of this year?
Well, because that's the only international experience they would have.
Well, minus the Worlds they went to last year and got fucking booty smackeracked.
Yeah, and then they changed up the entire team.
And then they became much better.
Okay, but if they... Okay. I just think it's hard. I mean, even if you talk to the players, they feel like that experience would be so valuable. Also, MSI was supposed to be in LA at the forum. I'll say that now. I think it's been said elsewhere. So they wouldn't have even needed to travel, right? Like they'd be on home turf. I actually just feel like, I don't know. I feel like I just disagree a lot. I think.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like the kind of thing where you don't want your dream ruined, so you'd rather just never actually have it happen. Which is just because if C9's not good at MSI and they're gonna get their hopes and dreams crushed playing there, then and they need a month to get good. Wouldn't their dreams just get crushed when they started scrimming at Worlds too? Like, I know that happens. I've heard teams talk about this. Even C9 specifically last Worlds, they ended up using Blabber a bunch because they went to scrims and got hard dumpstered at Worlds in practice, and they were just like, "Fuck it, let's coin flip it with Blabber."
Yeah, I get that.
That can happen that can happen at any point, any time, in any environment.
I think the thing that I'm saying is that Worlds is more important, and that MSI, them doing bad at that, would negatively impact their performance at Worlds.
And what if they did well
at MSI? Then that'd be great. I just don't think they would do well.
Okay, so don't take the chance. Don't put yourself out there. Stay in your little bubble. Don't get hurt.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying wait and power up until you can actually, maybe. I think they could win Worlds.
How is go to Worlds or go to MSI if you're not prepared to compete, learn that lesson now. These teams aren't like the bar's not dropping. You still have to be this tall to ride the ride when you get to Worlds. So get that experience in now.
I do. Okay, so to calmly lower the tension in the call a little bit, for our friend a Hobbit. Wait, a Hobbit, did we figure out where you're calling from? Oh yeah, Downey, right?
What? No, Baltimore.
Baltimore. Damn it. Sorry. Been one of those nights. We're having a lot of technical issues. Okay.
But yeah, it's a night for sure.
So, okay, Niski, I think I think it was him on the show last week, said, I mean, I know it was him on the show last week. I'm trying to remember if it was him who said it on that show. Said that C9, one of their struggles is they play different stuff and then they win with it. And they don't know if they won with it because they're just better than everybody else and they can outlane them, or if it's because it's actually a good strategy. And I think that that's the problem that will plague them throughout summer split. And so I do think that had they gone, maybe they get smacked down by G2 in the semifinals, for instance. Like, that would give them a lot of insight into what they need to do over the summer to get better. In fact, I actually think they would have benefited the most from not just MSI in May, but actually MSI in July, because it would have given them an even better, more relevant time period of the meta and stuff before Worlds hits for them to make adjustments in the couple months before Worlds hits.
And you know, there's a bit of a confirmation bias if MSI did happen and they did get slapped around and then they went to summer and did worse, because what would likely be happening is that the team wouldn't be as well rested, as, you know, there's this bit of a slump that happens to every team after MSI. And if they did learn a big lesson about how their team should function, they're probably going to take a step back to try and take 2 steps forward. Yeah, they could do everything they did in spring again and kind of ignore how they got exposed, most likely. But when you get exposed at an international event, often teams try and, like, you know, break themselves down a little bit so they can build themselves back up stronger. So it's one of those things where if it did happen and they did get crushed, they might still look worse in summer, which might make you think that this is what happened, that they lost their confidence or something. But more likely than not, it's because, like, okay, well, here are the things that we learned that we're bad at. Let's start working on those. And you lose, you go backwards a bit.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I get the point about, like, not knowing whether your strategies are good or not because you're just better than the other players in the region. But you don't need to play other teams to know if, like, individual picks are good, because you can just look at how they work in other regions where they're actually being played, like, in even matchups, skill wise.
Mark wants to bring Raz on. Is he actually? Oh, he's in the waiting room.
Yeah, he wanted to come on about.
Okay, let me ask the caller. Caller, listen. Mark has been somewhat aggressive with you. I recognize this.
Hey, this is what I'll say before. Getting me aggressive means I'm engaged in your topic, and it's a good call. Not a boring one where someone's like, "Here's a 3-way trade that'll never happen. What's your thoughts?" And I don't have any. So I'm actually glad to.
Okay, now you're flaming the previous caller too. And Hobbit, I know that I have also misidentified your home as being in Downey instead of Baltimore. So I wanted to ask, how comfortable would you be if I brought Raz on, who will probably be angry and yell outrageously into the call?
Let's do it. It's Hotline League, isn't it? It's not
let's go.
Line League.
Okay. It's not Snooze Line League.
There we go. Hi, Raz.
What the hell did I... okay. All right. I have literally the exact opposite take, in the sense that, like, just watching LPL games, and I've been, VOD reviewing it for the past few days. This is probably the best chance, like, an NA team had in an international, in, like, the last time I could remember. And I think, of course, T1 is fucking monstrous. But the LPL teams actually haven't been looking too good on a strategic level. And so, like, I was looking at that. Now, G2 is obviously a problem. But I'm like, C9 looks incredible. And I would have loved to have seen C9 at that event, because it would be a great opportunity to really show the best NA has ever had, really. And then they could grow off that. But now there's no growing process. They don't get the international, appearance and experience. So now they just get thrusted into Worlds. So, yeah, that's my thing.
Well, I think that every team that is from NA that has done well at MSI has just gotten plowed at Worlds. Like, if you look at Team Liquid last year when they got to finals, I think that was, one of the best performances NA has ever had at MSI, and then they bomb out of groups. And it was the same with CLG 2 years before that, I think.
Wait, was the take NA team that went to finals got plowed at Worlds, or is it just a team that got to finals and MSI got plowed at Worlds? That's my question.
The NA team.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
that wasn't my take. Like my take was that MSI being canceled was better for C9 because they
But
don't have that opportunity. Like that's not going to happen to them.
so you're saying that C9 would go to this event, would possibly lose, and in this experience in which they lose, they just get boomed mentally. Like this is the take, right?
Well, I think it's kind of depressing, like for Team Liquid, when they just get 3-0'd by G2 in 60 minutes. Like they're just like, how are we ever going to succeed?
What?
And I think that can inhibit your performance and your
Look,
improvement later on.
TL were surprised they even got to the finals. If it wasn't for just the straight int, and I hate reliving this moment, obviously, but like the idea that Team Liquid went to the finals, got blasted, and then that inhibited them from going to finals is the most far-fetched idea. And it's so result-based. And that's my issue with this, is that it's like this team went to finals, they lost, therefore, they're doomed to fail at Worlds, when it's nowhere even near the case. So I apologize if I'm a little bit inflamed on this point, but like,
I mean, the thing is, people peak at different times, and TL was not this unbelievably god tier domestic team that hard shit on North America. They had a best of 5 series versus TSM to get there. They looked pretty fucking pedestrian at group stage, and then the biggest international MS upset that's ever happened, basically for North America, happened. That doesn't mean that TL was always going to beat IG and that they were better than IG. And then when they go to Worlds and lose to IG, that suddenly it's because their mental was shot because of G2 that they couldn't get out of that group. That's not what happened. They overperformed. They had a great day. They picked up a W against a better team in a best of 5, a huge upset, good for them. But like that's not why they didn't get out of groups.
Yeah, but I don't think that they improved because of that MSI either.
I mean, I bet the players might disagree with that.
First of all, my take on like, how would you have this information, or even like, I don't even know where you would be able to draw the conclusion of a team not being able to improve because of one event. And I think this is the hardest thing to debate, right? Because you said you don't think that they improved because of this event. I don't think any of the players would say that, like that would even repeat that sentiment. In fact, they would look at that footage for the rest of the split and learn from it. Like that is the most valuable piece of footage you could have, because TL were not challenged at all at the domestically.
Well,
Like,
that's
what are
not
they
true at
learning?
all.
Okay. Well, who challenged them?
It's Cloud9. Cloud9 were the favorites going into the finals of last summer. All the analysts were giving them like 55-45.
I'm pretty sure I predicted TL that. I don't think I gave that to C9.
Look, I don't want to go too into the weeds of this, because they just won 4 domestic titles. And of course, the most valuable piece of footage and how they would grow is by going international and playing the best teams. And so, like, I think this kind of discussion is obviously going to be a back and forth on, like, I guess, whether you believe a team got boomed mentally or just we're not the better team in a competitive environment globally. And I'm more willing to go to the idea that in an incredibly competitive environment in both China and in Korea, the North American team were just not good enough.
I think the thing that makes me disagree with you the most, Hobbit, is that if you asked any of the C9 players right now, would you prefer to go to MSI and just get fucking smacked down by all these international teams? Like, would you do it if you could make MSI happen right now, but you know that you like bust her out in groups, or you barely make it out of groups and then you lose embarrassingly in semifinals? I feel like they would take it every single time, because these guys, like, the problem for them is they don't know if they are good. They don't know how to improve. Like, Sven did this interview with me where he's like, yeah, we're just shadow boxing with ourselves right now. Like, they don't have any data, and I don't think Summer's going to help them get that data. Like, we at least so far on the show have been not very excited about TSM with Doublelift, thinking that they're going to become like the next C9 challenger. It doesn't seem like anybody else is going to be. So, like, I just feel like they're going to spend a whole summer probably shitting on the rest of the teams again, come into Worlds having no idea if they're good or not, and like just cross their fingers that they have figured it out.
Here's also, let's get some philosophy of science in here. your claim is somewhat unfalsifiable. Whoa, shit! I'm breaking my setup. Because like you don't have any data, like as far as I'm aware. You know, like you're not referencing a player interview who said, "Oh yeah, we went to MSI and it ruined us for Worlds." If that was something like a nugget that you had, it would feel like a better argument. But it's all just completely speculative. And at this point, we're just being like, "You're wrong for our reasons," you know.
And I can respect it because all my arguments I ever make are speculative and never verifiable, and that's why I make them, because they're safe. But I just like, this is a tough one to swallow because I feel like one of our biggest issues in North America is just our lack of competition. Right? Like, it's really hard for our best teams to get better because they don't have other good teams to play against. That's at least what a lot of the top teams will tell you. And it's sort of corroborated by the fact that we have like less players that are competing and a weaker, secondary system than EU and whatever. So I just feel like then denying our best team of even more data and even more competition, it's hard to imagine that that's gonna fix it. Also, I'm pulling up a image right now, which is the predictions for summer finals last year that I've spent the last 5 minutes trying to find personally myself. And
we did not pull this from our Discord that people
and it shows Crumbs, Jet, and Marks all picking TL to predict or to win summer finals last year. So I would disagree just on that minor point that C9 were the favorites coming into finals. Anywho, a Hobbit, I hope there's no hard feelings because I'm not sure if
best call of the night.
Yes. That's why we do the show. But are a Hobbit, are you still here? Can you accept
Nah, I'm in tears, man.
Okay.
I love you, dog.
Thank you. I really appreciate the call though, because I think it sparked like a pretty good discussion on the show in a way that some of our other stuff, not always do. We have to call in a ringer to help us dismantle.
It was such a good call. It was such a hotline call that Raz jumped out of Twitch chat and into Discord.
Yeah.
I was mad.
Okay.
But in a good way.
Hobbit, any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Yeah, everyone in chat saying that I'm not a real C9 fan. Man, I have all the merch and everything too. I got a big flag in my room. I mean, come on, guys.
Twitch chat's a bunch of dum-dums. Ignore them.
Yeah, Twitch chat will say everyone's not a real whatever because they think they're the only real. In reality, they're all fake. Either way, thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, thank you.
All right, is that me too?
You can stay. Do you want to stay?
Oh yeah, I'll chill.
This is a pretty loose one tonight because it's weird. Anyway,
I can be Mark Z's backup man just in case he booms again.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That's a good call.
It's
Travis, you want to take a second to talk about the Raz? Did you see the Dodo Twitlonger response?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
Since we have another coach on, Travis, is this a good time to talk about it?
Well, what do you want to talk about it?
Well, what he said in there that contradicts Doublelift stuff a little bit.
Here, you lead the discussion on it because I'm not trying to shut down the conversation. I just don't know. It's kind of a he said she said thing, so I don't know how to go about this discussion too much.
Well, there's two things that jumped out to me. One is like the first paragraph where he said, he basically just said we gave Doublelift plenty of feedback about it. And we both know him somewhat personally, and Doublelift is a bit prone to hyperbole. And I've seen his opinions flip-flop dramatically from, 1 month to the next. So like, this is one of those times where I'm like, I'd have a hard time believing any coach was not relaying this information to you. At least, maybe not in the best way. I'm not saying Dodo did everything perfectly, but like to say he had zero feedback or whatever he was saying in his vlog, that can't be right.
Yeah,
right?
I think the biggest the problem with this conversation, and it's like bound to get muddy if let's say Doublelift decides to respond, and it's like I don't think both people are very professional, so I don't think it ever gets to that point. But it comes down to the specifics because I can imagine very easily that Dodo's giving him feedback and one-on-ones fairly consistently, but at the same time there's like pretty heavy piece of feedback that wasn't relayed, right? Like just like those pieces of feedback that like slip through the cracks. I can imagine that. But it really just comes down to the details, and that's why for this one, I'm gonna be the lame guy and be like, I think having a hard stance and opinion on this matter is just destructive to the conversation, right?
Yeah,
But that's
so
the point of the show, I guess.
yeah, the point is to be destructive. All I'll
Yeah.
say is like I can't believe that he had 0, which is what a lot of people in at least in that thread were
Yeah.
saying in reaction to the Doublelift one. And now that I see the coach basically being like, no, we did talk to him. I just can't imagine.
Yeah.
Like you would be fired. You'd be fired if you didn't give feedback to your pro and then to your player and then benched him.
I imagine that the truth is that, I always have the most boring take. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Do I think Peter has a skewed perspective that is somewhat influenced on his own attitude, that is somewhat influenced by him getting publicly benched? Peter, who has a giant ego, it got publicly benched for a rookie player. Do I think that has perhaps skewed his perspective on the situation? Yes. Do I think that Dodo, who I have a lot of respect for, but is still like a young coach when it comes to what coaching is, like almost all coaches in esports, and probably could have handled a big ego of Peter in a better way and perhaps been more proactive in certain ways or whatever. I bet you if you asked Dodo, he would go back and say that he would communicate things to Peter differently in some areas or something.
For sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think anyone walks away from a split like that. Like, yeah, I did things right.
So yeah, I feel like, this is probably a failure on both people in a very stressful, split where things weren't going their way. It's one of those situations where like everything's great whenever you're all winning, and then when you start losing, all of a sudden things start getting a little bit more stressful. And even Peter admits that he like fucked up a ton by not participating. So I think it's one of those things where it's a little bit more complicated.
Yeah.
I also while we're on this topic, Mark, go ahead.
I have one more, but let me hear yours first.
Go for it. Well, I was just going to raise, because we're not getting too many calls about this stuff, but I feel like it's the type of stuff that I would do. And if we were having a discussion, just, Mark and myself and Raz, like, what do you guys think this means for TL? Because TSM was the big dog for years and years and years in LCS. At one point in time, I think they commanded more than, like the majority of LCS fans were TSM fans. And I think a lot of that was around the time when Doublelift was on there. You even saw people on the Team Liquid subreddit saying like, hey, Team Liquid fans, it's been cool chilling with you now, but wherever Doublelift goes, I go. And TL really had, they were the 4th place team, not only in terms of results, but also in terms of like popularity, fandom, brand, etc.
Mm-hmm.
How far down the ladder do they fall, if at all, now that they don't have like the most popular player in the league on their team?
So my question, because you've seen the metrics, is more so like, was TSM still number 1 while all of this was happening when TL was winning championship after championship?
I don't know. They might have been, but probably not by a lot. I mean, TL definitely, like it certainly felt as though C9, TL, and TSM were really competitive.
Yeah, I would kind of guess that TL would be a 3rd place team to C9 and TSM. Like TSM would take number 1, especially with the boost of Doublelift being added to the team. C9 has always been an incredibly popular team, and now they're just like champions in the realest of forms. And now I think people will question the identity of TL without Doublelift, but then you'll look back and say, well, now they have Broxa and Jensen, and they can and Core JJ. They still have pretty strong personalities, although still like kind of European favored. And I guess that's the real question, is like kind of meshing with the NA market. But yeah, I would still say that they're really popular, and they're going to have results. I would assume. I mean, if they have another bad split again, then goodbye.
Yeah. Well, so the thing is, I don't think the rankings will change too much because I think it was TSM and then C9, then TL, and then distant 4th was actually 100 Thieves, if I remember correctly.
That was like Team Pass sales.
Yeah, it was based off Team Pass sales, but also I think I've seen some stuff about just like engagements and some other. But where I was going with this was just that I don't think they'll ever this won't drop them below 100 Thieves, but it can be like still a significant numbers hit losing Doublelift. But yeah.
Another thing too is that like TL has an insane content team. They'll find a way to be able to market their players, and it's not as if their players aren't marketable. Like for sure, mid jungle is pretty good on the mic. Like specifically, Brox is really good. So it's more so like how much of a personality or how kind of tactical will grow. But yeah, I think TL will still be a really strong brand, and it really does depend if they just start losing. That's about it for me.
I also cannot get over, like, I have no idea or insight into how much TSM is paying Peter. In fact, like his and my conversations have actually, because we used to hang out and get dinner and stuff like that, and we just haven't been hanging out on Discord instead, so I just don't have very much insight into any of this. But I hope that he made them pay a ton to get him, or is going to potentially, because what's interesting is the contract database has his contract ending this November. I think that's probably because they haven't finished an extension yet. Because as I think Mark and I talked about before, like you don't want to sign a player like Doublelift and then only have him for like 3 months. So I assume that they're working on an extension agreement right now. So think about how crazy this is for TSM. I actually kind of felt as though TSM's brand had been falling for a while because they were the team that always won. Then they didn't make it to Worlds 2 years in a row. They started having all these issues. They started bringing on like less popular players, and I don't know. I feel like their strength, their power within the league was starting to diminish. This actually just puts them in such a solid place. One thing, and I know people meme about the Players Association, TSM now has a majority vote on the Players Association Council. It's 5 players, and 3 of them are Doublelift, Biofrost, and Bjergsen. And this is like the association that voted not to continue Spring Split, or that they didn't want to continue Spring Split. Right?
I'd be concerned about that if they had any power.
No, well, it's not. I think they have.
Don't get into it. No one cares.
Okay. Well, the only reason I would get into it is because I think a lot of people actually will agree with you on that, right? Even if you disagree.
I mean, it's definitely a little concerning, but I would. It's one of those things where I would expect people to. I would hope the players are professional enough to not like have the 3 secret TSM cabal going on in the Players Association.
It feels as though to me, like just from a brand standpoint, I mean, consider the fact that Doublelift was the only player that was in any of these ads that ran on the LCS, right? Like the Honda ad, the Alienware ad. I think there's another one, but maybe I'm crazy.
There's a dumpster one. That's the one I remember.
That's the Honda one. Like he is so much the face of the league, and so just bringing him to your organization brings dramatic benefits to sponsors and so much fandom and strength within like the leadership of the Players Association, and just even in the mindset of that stuff. So it's wild to me because it just is like, wow, this is so many people will look at this understandably from the perspective of, well, is TSM going to be able to get top 3 now or whatever? But like this actually is such a huge moment for that organization that I feel like had been falling from their peak power and brand value and stuff within the league. It's very interesting.
Raz, I apologize for letting you grab
He just went wild.
I apologize for not going to my second point.
Okay, wait. Oh no, it's fine. I actually was while he was going in there, I actually wanted to contest the point about TSM kind of diminishing as a team. I actually felt like they were getting stronger as the split went on, and that they were finding focus as a team on like specific.
All right, I meant diminishing. Diminishing like as a brand, and also as a powerhouse within the league, right? Like they were kind of untouchable for a while from like, I don't know, even from like a league perspective, right? Like,
yeah,
they were. Andy could say something and everyone listened, and I think a lot of people still would, but like they just were LCS for so long, and I feel like that was definitely starting to fall by the wayside.
Yeah. So here's the second point I was going to go to. It's this line right here, which I thought was interesting, and I want to get Rez's opinion on.
Oh, on the Dodo thing? Sorry.
Yeah, in the Dodo thing. He said, we definitely wanted to see more of the team with tactical. And this is coming after they had to use him when Peter got sick.
Yeah.
We definitely want to see more of him, and suggested to Peter that we want him and Tactical to share scrim time, and we would choose who would go on stage. Peter declined on that and wanted us to either choose one or the other going into practice, and we chose to see more of Tactical with the team. There's a bunch of other stuff, and then he later says, and this is in another kind of comment a little bit further down. Also, if he was feeling like he was threatened in his position to be taken away, then I believe this was his first experience in his life where he had to actively fight for his spot. I don't believe any competitive player or coach should take their place for granted and should always be motivated and working hard to give it their all. It's kind of like hyphy, but kind of buried in the middle of these other paragraphs. So it's
one of those things because like I guess it really kind of I don't know how spicy this
was the ambulance on the way to pick up Doublelift
after
what Dodo just did to him.
By. Like, but yeah, I don't know. Were you more interested in the fact of like Doublelift declining? Like
I would, both parts. Doublelift declining, and then kind of like that.
I mean, it doesn't paint a good picture of Peter for sure.
Yeah,
it's like a player.
There's a lot of pros in North America, and you know, I haven't worked in other scenes, so I can't actually say what it's like in Korea and Europe and stuff. But like some of what happened with C9 when they got benched, I know the players really resented the C9 organization for that, and why a number of them ended up leaving and stuff like that. And so there is this sense that, you know, a lot of the veterans and superstar players don't ever feel like challenged for their position, and then when they do get challenged, it creates a big adverse reaction. And so I didn't know what your kind of.
It kind of depends in the sense that I mean, in Doublelift in this situation, you know, being such a strong, like probably like literally the best AD carry in North America for so long, and literally had one bad split, and he has a lot of leverage in terms of brand strength and individual skill. So I can imagine that he's in a position where he's like, I would rather just start and you can just bench me, or I can find another team, right? Like, and want to just be traded. And that's probably the perspective. And I would think that I would say it's frustrating from a coaching, like from like the staff's perspective, because they do want to probably just like see both players at the same time. But you just kind of have to respect that call.
Yeah. I think my take on it is like, from the coaching angle, it's very much like, listen, you're not motivated. We're going to split time until you're motivated and you're playing well again. And like, we see the improvement in your attitude and stuff. And that's, I think, why they chose to go with Tactical, was when Doublelift kind of said, no, pick one. They're like, okay, well, you're not working hard enough. You're benched. And I maybe he didn't think they would do that. And it was kind of like this standoff situation.
Maybe I misread it then. Cause was this kind of discussed before he ever actually had time in scrims again? Like, because he made the point that he wanted to use, you know, he was motivated and he wanted to play again. Was that literally at the same time?
The way it reads to me is
timeline
like,
for me is important on that one.
Yeah. The way it reads to me is he came back from being sick and was like, okay, guys, thanks for having Tactical in. Cool, you picked up some wins. Ready to go. And Dota was like, what if we swapped you and Tactical back and forth? And he's like, nah, dog.
Oh, and if that's the literal timeline, then I think that's pretty weak.
It's hard to know because publicly, I think I saw like 3 different interviews where it's like, I got my motivation back. Like after they lost to Keith, you know, it was like, we got our motivation back. And then like after he was sick, it was like, I got my or like after seeing them succeed with Tactical. And then like after benching again, he was like, I have my motivation back. So I don't know when either.
That one's the toughest one, because the timeline's so important. Because my entire kind of feeling on the post from both sides was that Doublelift was rearing to feel like, hey, I'm proving that I'm motivated again, right? And if you're trying to get that, then for sure you're willing to split time to show your team that you're motivated. And that's why I would like to believe that's the timeline.
So that's what I was about to say. Is like,
yeah.
If your team, and presumably your team, but definitely your coaches, are saying like, hey, you haven't been motivated. You know what would prove it? If you split time with this guy and fought for your spot, and you say, no, pick one. That's kind of confirming the coaches. Like if I was a coach, I'd be like, okay, thanks for confirming that you're not ready, you know, on some level.
That's why, because it feels so, that's where it feels uncharacteristic. So I'm willing to believe that's not the case. until someone comes out and say, "Hey."
It feels uncharacteristic of you that Peter would say, "I don't want to split time with this academy player."
From the feeling, no, the timeline point, right? Because if he's already showcased that he's, driven and willing to play, and he's had
you're
a few
saying
scrims.
for Dodo, you feel like it doesn't.
No, for Doublelift. Okay, so let me explain it. Because if Doublelift had play time in scrims, and then he felt like he had proven himself that he's driven and he's playing really well, because it showed that in the post.
It would be annoying that the coaches didn't trust him.
Yeah, because then if they're then bringing the subject up and saying we can swap between players, have I not already proved it? But if it's literally, I'm sick, I'm back, I'm ready to play, they're saying, okay, are you really ready to play? Then we're going to bring in a little competition. And he says, nah, actually, I'm a double take.
It totally feels within. I mean,
I'm better than I do.
We're all speculating right now, but it totally feels within Peter's character. I mean, I feel like for anybody who knows how Peter trash talks and how he views himself and how he looks down on other ADCs, that it totally feels within his character for him to say, no, I'm back and ready to play. I want to prove myself. Why are you putting in this other player? That sounds to me totally like something Peter would say. I mean, again, we're speculating. This is this weird world where now we're just speculating on timeline.
That's why I pulled this up, because it's such an interesting point. That's a lot of it's he said, she said stuff about Dodo kind of contradicting or disagreeing with what Doublelift said in his vlog, and it's well, who said what? But this was a nugget that I hadn't heard before that really interested me, because I went through a similar situation when we benched Piglet. He had visa issues. We played with Keith for a little bit. We were good. He joined more. We had more issues because he was a totally different person and player than Keith was, and there was a growing pain period. And eventually, we benched him because we felt like something had to change. And then, for the most part, after that, there was a coming together of the team, and Piglet changed a little bit, and there was some other stuff that went on behind the scenes.
I'd imagine.
Yeah, so obviously, I know it's not exactly the same situation, but having been through the quote unquote benching of a superstar player,
and by the way, I don't think that Peter, I kind of have the opposite take on it, Raz. It sounds as though you're saying it would reveal a lack of motivation for Peter to contest or to say, I don't want to have to fight for my spot. You should give it to me.
But more so that, but maybe more so the optics, because I thought that Peter coming into this situation would want to, and he said this in his vlog as well, prove to his teammates that he's driven and willing to play. And the best way to prove that is to get that time on stage, or at least not on stage, but in scrims. And if that was presented to you, you take anything. You take scraps, right? You take the games that you can get to prove that point. That's why I felt as though if he was really driven and pushing to prove that, hey, I'm here, I can play.
Maybe, but
that's why I don't agree with the timeline.
Maybe, and I could see him. I'm not saying that this is justified behavior, but I could totally see a world where Peter was actually it's the opposite, right? He's motivated, he's raring to go, he wants to play, and now he's being told he has to. That's what
Razes was saying about the timeline, because you can probably tell how motivated he is a little bit already based off what happened coming, after the Keith, because as I remember the timeline, it was the Keith solo kill thing happened. I remember being okay, I really got to level up. I'm motivated now. Then the sickness thing happened. I think he said it again once they saw tactical win. Then the benching has it was something that's well, when did the coaches really see it? Because if Doublelift was putting in work after the Keith thing and was going super try hard, and then you bench him like Raz is saying, then that feels pretty bad for Peter, and you can kind of understand it more. Versus if he's not solo queue grind lording and telling you that he's 100% back in it, and you just won with this other kid, and you're well, let's see you put the work in, and then he doesn't. That's why the timeline's interesting.
Yeah. Well, we're going back and forth, and we got 2 more callers to go, so maybe we should hop into it, because now it just becomes a weird thing where we're speculating on timeline. But yes, it is interesting for sure. All right, Mark is grabbing our next callers. Shout out to Kiwi Mullet Boy for 27 months, Captain Pickles for the sub, and then Captain Pickles dropped 5 gifted subs, which is awesome.
Not only does he have an amazing name, but he's doing amazing acts.
Skips35 is here. Skips35, what do you want to talk about?
Don't you want to ask me where I'm from?
Yeah, where are you from?
Yeah.
Travis.
Listen, I fucked this up earlier by misunderstanding where somebody was, so I was just never going to do it again.
Let me guess. How many towns are there in the United States? Cities. Let's limit it to cities.
We're now over time. Where are you calling from, Skips?
Kalamazoo, Michigan.
I was on the tip of my
Michigan.
tongue.
Great, glad we got that information. What do you want to talk about?
Okay, so as the preface, this is one of those calls where it's like a wild take where if I'm wrong, then everyone forgets.
Give
But
it.
if I'm right,
I don't care. Give it.
I never forget.
I'm the Huni call. I'm saying Huni's going to the LPL because of money.
I like this
Does
take.
the LPL want Huni?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, Raz is our LPL expert, so explain why. Go for it.
I mean, at the end of the day, there are two layers, right? The first layer is having faith that a player in a new environment that also just has a very natural play style that fits him. I'll put that out there. Can perform. So like that's something that you would want. Another thing is also brand power that Huni brings can also just boost a lot of orgs that are in desperate need of that also have a lot of money. And the third one is that the owners generally, honestly, don't know. Let's just say that they're just going to go for the Huni name. So like,
Okay,
if
gotcha.
the big name,
Brand
like,
recognition.
the first one's always going to be brand recognition, and then from like a coaching standpoint, they'll just pick him because like this guy is really talented, and we have faith that he can kind of deliver.
And one of the things that Skips put in his text that I liked a lot that he didn't quite mention was that he'll not only will he go to the LPL, but he'll win a split and then come back in a year or two to win North America, try and win North America again.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I love that idea because he came
By
to
the
Europe,
way,
hard slap, went to NA, did pretty good, but didn't actually ever accomplish anything really, despite how good he was. Then he went to LCK, made a World Finals, did quite well.
damn it, you're stealing the thing I wanted to point out.
Then he
He'll
comes
have
back.
completed his major region tour
He's
if
just
he goes to
bouncing around.
LPL.
It's going around the world.
Okay, why do you think he's going to win Okay, wait. Raz, you were on board with this. Do you also think he'll win an LPL split?
Nah, probably not.
Okay.
It probably ain't gonna happen. Like there are 17 teams, and a lot of the top teams right now already have insane top lane talent. They ain't gonna move on it. You can probably say FPX, but FPX can just move to Khan, and you'd probably rather have Khan. Even though Gimgoon's had like a better record technically, I mean Khan, if he just fits with the team, then you got it. I mean, a lot of these top players, teams just have great tops. Unless if it's, oh no, I'm not gonna even decide to say RNG. But like, I guess at the end of the day, it's just I don't think it's gonna happen. That's where I lose faith.
You don't think he's going to win, or you mean that he won't?
That he's not gonna win. That he's not gonna. Yeah, because there's so many teams teams in the middle of the pack that would want him, and I don't think it shifts them to the top.
All right.
Where do you have a better chance winning LPL or NA though?
I would say NA. I would say NA. Yeah.
There's way less teams to start with.
Yeah.
2, there's way less good teams to continue with.
But according to Reddit, we're NA.
There's 10 teams. I always forget these random things, but there are 10 teams in North America, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's 17.
Are you wearing a hat right now? Is that you got some hat?
It's a joke because Mark was stupid earlier while wearing a hat. Anyway.
Okay.
Skips 35. Any final thoughts? This is a quick call, but it's a quick take.
I guess who would Dig put in top lane?
That's not a thought. That's a question.
I mean, I don't know.
You ask questions with your thoughts, Travis. You should have had. Do you have any declarative statements?
Do you have any declarative statements?
Huni likes money.
Oh my!
I mean that's a good point. I appreciate that one.
We all appreciate money, and I will say, just to answer the last question, probably lower low. And that's my last point on that.
Yeah, that would be my guess too.
Yeah.
I feel like Dig is gonna pull way back. I feel like some of these teams take a swing. Like 100 Thieves is a great example. Spend a ton of money, don't get the results you want, then you're just like, fuck it. Let's just spend what we need to
watch that be like what teams do from now on is they ball out super hard for spring, and as soon as there's not instant success, they just cut everything.
Yep. Well, especially in this world. Skips 35, thank you so much for the call. Sorry I didn't remember Kalamazoo, Michigan.
No, that's okay. It's okay.
I appreciated that call.
Great. We got one more caller to go. Thank you to Icarus Knox, M Graves 573, Brook 4PK for the 800 bits, and no other subs. So now we sit here in silence.
No, you should pressure your follow, or at least the people who are following this channel, to sub them Twitch Primes right now. Okay, that's about it. That's what I got. That's all I got.
Thank you, Rez. I
If
appreciate
that doesn't turn it.
Are you
It's
still
not
leaving,
working.
Raz?
No one has done it. No, he was trying to shill for me, but it's
Yeah, if
trying
that
to
doesn't
start
work,
a
then
hype
I'm,
train?
I'm useless. if it
Fruz.
doesn't work.
Fruz,
Starting
where are
a
you calling
scam
from?
train?
I'm calling from the Jersey Shore.
From the Jersey Shore. Is that
What?
okay.
Have you
What?
GTL'd today?
What do you want to talk about on the show?
I wanted to talk about how Kabe was a huge problem for TSM and that Doublelift is really going to help the team a lot.
Huge problem. Explain why a huge problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, the biggest thing with him is that he played weak side and he's used to playing weak side, but for the most part, during the season, he wasn't really that great to warrant an import slot for a high market team like TSM. He died early in team fights, and some of that could be due to the lack of peel in the support in the jungle positions, but we'll never know until he's gone or until those positions get changed. And then he could be like Sven when he leaves and be better off than TSM. Again, those things are we're not going to know until he leaves. So yeah.
I might have missed it. Did you say you think Kabe is the biggest problem on TSM, or are you just saying that he was?
I think he's a huge problem. I don't think he's the biggest problem, but I think he is a huge problem for TSM, and Doublelift will immediately make that better.
Okay. Raz, you were in one of the calls talking about TSM was getting their shit figured out towards the end of the split. How do you feel about Kabe was a problem?
I thought he was a top 380 carry in LCS. Like throughout the LCS, actually. People would probably say, for sure, number one is Sven.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably contest with Bang, but I think at the first half of the split for Bang was actually pretty inconsistent, and I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that. New team and all. But I actually thought he was, for what was a very inconsistent split from TSM side. I thought that Kabe played pretty damn well, actually. That was my take. That's why yeah, go on.
What you said earlier in the chat was what I was saying. I feel bad for Kabe. You said, yeah, he got replaced by an ADC. He outperformed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Doublelift even mentioned like that he wasn't performing so well that split, so it wasn't even like a crazy statement. I thought Kabe actually played well throughout the split, and then he got replaced by someone who, while you have a lot of faith in Doublelift in the long term, especially when he's motivated, as he's saying right now, but like Kabe performed really well, and then he got replaced. So that's my take. That's why it's more so like on what you actually think on this one, Mark. Where would you place in a stock ranking for Kabe?
I think I put Cody's son over Kabe, but I think I had Kabe fourth.
Okay.
So like, I'm someone who was a little disappointed by Kabe's performance, but I always was one of those people who felt like it was more about
TSM,
the fit with
Kabe.
TSM and everything, more so than like, oh man, Kabe actually sucks. He's not good. We got oversold on him. You know, it's too easy of a comparison, but obviously like the Sven thing where like, yeah, he doesn't look like he looked in Europe, and then he goes on to another team, and it's like, oh, he looks.
The problem
exactly
for
like...
Kabe is he can't do that because there's not going to, unless he goes to like TL. I just don't see him landing on a team that will support him the way Sven will.
Happen. I just mean like
I know.
The dip in
I'm just
performance.
sad.
The dip in performance was similar, a little bit. And there were some games like I definitely got tainted a little bit by that game where they had like a 10K gold lead against FlyQuest, and then they threw, and it wasn't like Kabe threw, but like I saw him. He got one shot by Syndra mid once, and then instantly bought a Hex Drinker when he didn't. He probably shouldn't have, and then played kind of scared the rest of the game. And I remember that one just really was like, oh, is this a KDA player I'm watching? Oh no, and I don't think he is, but I just kind of soured me a little bit for that split. But like, I still think he's really, really, really good, and I would expect he will bounce back fine from this. But I think I don't agree he was the problem or even like a significant problem for TSM.
Yeah.
in the chat suggesting that he'll join Misfits because of Proxy Fox and the Misfits relationship, which would be ironic. Anyway,
Of course, Dom just comes in here with some gossip. Doesn't have anything.
the first time I've ever seen him in the chat during Hotline League, and he's stirred that shit up again.
The first thing he throws up.
Maybe he's watched every single episode. He's like, finally got something salacious to throw out to the chat.
This is my moment.
I waited 120 episodes for this. All right. Trues, it seems as though we just kind of disagree with you on the Kabe thing. Like, it didn't really feel like he was the huge issue for TSM. It felt more like systemic issues for them.
Yeah. Something else to add for that is he is taking up an import slot. So like it could chain, like, let's just say Dardock's the biggest problem for TSM, or something about their early game is a problem, and they want to switch out a native NA talent for an import. They can't because Kabe's in there. And now that you have Doublelift, it's like kind of even.
Yeah,
I think we talked about this a little bit at the start of the show, but yeah.
Yeah, that's always going to be the second take, in the sense that whenever you have an import AD carry, you always want to have some, like, the best, or at least like the most experienced, I would say, shot caller or support, like someone that can take those slots. That's why you oftentimes see a jungler support import. But like, that's why I would say, like, that's a different discussion, right? Because it's not as if Kelby can just get fucked by that instead, where he's just like, well, you're performing really well, but we just need a jungle like swap. Like, that would just be a different discussion for me.
Right, and I think there's also another discussion about, not just was Kabe a problem, and what did he play better than Doublelift, but like going forward, will TSM be a better team with Doublelift? Yeah, maybe it wasn't a great fit, but maybe Doublelift is a better fit, and even though he wasn't great in spring, this will still be a better move, even if it's just Dardock still. And I think I would even buy that a little bit, where Biofrost and Doublelift have more synergy built from their years playing together, and have a more similar lane-focused play style, so that, Biofrost can be more aggressive. I think he's a good mechanical player and stuff. So like, I could see a world where this is still a good move, regardless of us saying that Kabe got replaced by Sony outperformed.
And you know what? My biggest rant here is, why can't we just be patient people? I actually, like, for me,
because
I got to fill 6 weeks worth of content.
In the sense that, like, TSM got fourth, okay, with the new roster. Like, they were getting better, it seemed. Like, I felt like they were getting better. Like, they were playing towards a more specific comp and everything. And, like, I would be more interested personally if this team actually just, ran it back in Summer Split.
Yeah, but they regretted kicking Peter. Like,
like a while back, I guess. But like, that can't be that's not even a part of the decision, right? You ain't regretting it. So I was like, all right, we'll act on it now.
It's definitely part of the decision. You kidding me? Like, I would be shocked if TSM had not been looking at.
They definitely regretted it. That's for sure. But yeah,
I mean, they knew his contract was coming up at the end of this year, and I would be shocked if they were not preparing like a bid. The same way a lot of teams were preparing bids for Bjergsen, right? Like, you scout out who you want, and obviously things didn't work out. They can, like, Peter, like, even if Kabe was better than him, Peter doesn't take up an import slot. He's like an incredibly valuable asset to teams for a long rant that I went on. But like, this felt inevitable to me in some ways. So, Drews, any final thoughts?
Nope. Just shout out Booyah and shout out my amateur team, Booyah Exiles Blue.
Shout out to Booyah Exiles Blue. All right, they've been kicking it in the amateur league for a while, amateur scene, and I'm ready to see them join up with the LCS. Thanks so much, Truce. They're undefeated. That's more than Cloud9 can say. Thanks for the call.
Bye.
Bye.
That'd be a good team chant. Booyah.
Yeah. Hey, nobody go anywhere, because I need you for Twitch chat. I know some of you guys start to leave. I need you for 60 seconds after the show for what is potentially the most exciting thing I've ever done on stream.
Is Kelby getting a cat?
You want to give us some shout outs?
That would be so hyped, dude. If you pulled up a webpage that
Mark,
showed
you want to give some shout outs?
Where you picked. What's that?
Mark, what's your shout out? What do you want at the end?
Nothing.
Raz?
Shout out Cat for Kobe. Hashtag Cat for Kobe.
Raz.
Hashtag Cat for Kobe.
You guys are gonna get people banned from my Twitch chat. Here comes the timeouts.
They're coming right now.
Nightbot working overtime right now.
Wait, I don't see them getting banned.
No,
You don't?
I'm a
Yeah.
mod. Wait, aren't you a mod?
I'm
I
a
don't know
mod.
why
I
he's
thought.
not seeing it.
Oh, okay, yeah,
I
they-
see the timeouts like
Yeah,
crazy.
they're getting
You can see all the messages getting deleted though, right?
Yeah,
No,
they're
I
all
just
getting
see him showing up normally. What happened to me?
What? I don't know what
Wow.
happened to you.
I just see Cat for Kobe.
Don't say it. All right. Everyone, stick around. I got a really exciting thing for you guys at the end. And, Steve just showed up and said, oh, damn, I missed Hotline League. He conveniently missed a 2-hour-long conversation about his former
Oh,
star
no.
player. Oh, no.
I just
I
lost my
missed
star
it.
player drafts. I missed this conversation.
Raz, thanks so much for
all right.
pinch hitting here at the end. And, Mark, love you.
Have a
All
nice
right.
one.
Okay, everybody stick around, though. This has been Hotline League, episode 120.